Welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, sponsored by MotiV8 Training Management. This is a podcast where we talk to drivers and industry experts to help you maximize your performances on and off the track. Let's get started with today's show. Hi guys, welcome to episode 68 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and today I'm joined by Ryan McKinnon. Ryan has a very interesting story, a little bit different. Here on the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, I really like to try and interview people who have everyday jobs within motorsport as well. So for those that don't get to achieve their dreams of being an aspiring full-time race car driver, and they love that industry, that we can also showcase what other roles are out there and how they can get involved in these roles and what these roles actually look like. So Ryan has got a fantastic story. He's done a little bit of everything from being an official, being a driver, being a rally driver, what are they called? Pilot, and also currently does some cool stuff in motorsports now. So you have to listen to what he's currently doing. We're going to get started into this show, guys, but before we do, just a reminder that we do have a free motorsport sponsorship group in Facebook. Just go to our main page at MotiV8 Training, scroll down to our groups, head across to Motorsport Sponsorship, or just simply put that in the search button in Facebook, Motorsport Sponsorship, and you'll come up. Come over and join us and learn more about, obviously, sponsorship, social media, branding, public relations, and we do some media work as well. The link to the group will also be in today's show notes. Now let's get started with Ryan. Well, good morning, Ryan, and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Thank you.
I recently put a call out for podcast guest on LinkedIn, and with the subline, everybody has a story to tell, let me share your story. And Ryan put up his hand. He said, I'm not quite sure, if I'm exactly what you want. And I learned a little bit more about Ryan. I was like, yes, I do, because he's done so many wonderful things within the industry and still does. And I wanted to share his story. So thanks again, Ryan, for coming on board today. Tell us, how did you get started in motorsport?
Basically, it's the family for years, back in the 80s, my uncle used to rally on a state level, old Datsun 1600. And as a kid, you learn these things, stories of your family. And as a kid growing up, I was always watching all these old VHS tapes of Uncle Ron and his rallies, and to the point where it drove everyone in the house mad. Mm-hmm. My sister used to, on a weekend, would even know when I was watching it just by the sound, even knew which one I was watching. From there, I consider our family just a typical middle-class, everyday working family. So for us, racing was never, to actually do that was never really in the budget for mum and dad to even put me into karts or anything like that. So our biggest kick was, as a kid, Dad would pick us up on the weekends. We'd go out and watch any sort of racing that was on a lakeside, at Kawangba there. If we knew there was a rally nearby, we'd go out and watch a rally, spectate. And then from there, progressed on further years. Another one of my uncles, yes, I've got a really big family, who lives up north, up near Imbil, near Gympie, where a lot of rallies are held. He started getting really involved with being an official with Brisbane Sporting Car Club and Queensland Rally. And we started going to just participating in a road closure or any sort of marshalling. And then from there, Uncle Malcolm started getting more and more involved with Brisbane Sporting Car Club and became the head safety officer for Brisbane Sporting Car Club. And then from there, we're going on participating as an official with more events, which obviously expanded onto the World Rally down at Coffs Harbour. The first couple of times I was just a part of the mobile security team, which was at that time we were required to do a pass of every stage before your zero cars and then competitors. And then after a while, the rules changed of what we were required to do, and we had to orchestrate checkpoints and going around the stage as close as we could get to the stage without entering. And the last year that I did that, I was actually asked to be team leader for the mobile security. That was manning a team of 10 guys on bikes, cars, and that involved organising like a bit of a roster for them of where I want them to be at certain times of the day, in depending on what stage of the rally was at. You have to sort of predict of where the bigger crowds were, because obviously being all Aussies loving motorsport, there's always the ones that get a little bit too cheery and have a few too many beers and jump out on the stage and things like that. But generally all are pretty good. And then in between all that, obviously growing up, probably should have backtracked a bit, but I got an apprenticeship in a workshop on the north side of Brisbane, and he was heavily involved in rally as well, so that sort of really fueled it even harder. So from then on, doing my apprenticeship at Tyres and More, which we ended up becoming 2 stores and became AOE and Motorsport as well, which some listeners may know who that is, Sean. So then from then, my whole week and late nights became building rally cars, build race cars, people would come in with any sort of race car or rally car, carry out wheel alignments, build these cars. And then the weekends you'd be going service and pit for all these guys. So it would be leave Brisbane at wee hours of the morning, get up there, unload the car, set up service. You would fix the car all day through whatever needed to be repaired or recover. And you would sleep in a swag in the middle of a paddock for the night and just get up early in the morning and go home, or that may be a whole weekend scenario. Then I sort of had enough for a bit, obviously, and then went and worked out west and did the whole mining thing for a bit. Come back a few years later and really wanted to get back into it again. And where I did my apprenticeship, the boss's son, he had bought himself a rally car and he was starting to get quite competitive and climbing up, wanted to go in different classes and things like that. He had a Gemini Cup car that he wanted to sell. We got talking over a few beers one night and picked it up pretty cheap. Spent 6 months fixing it, building it, and because it had sort of sat in the corner out in the weather a bit for a while. Like old cars, they tend to collect a lot of rust. And originally the idea was just to do a lot of Kana crosses and motor Kanas and hill climbs and things like that. But then I got talking to some of the guys in the Gemini Cup series in Queensland, and they sort of convinced me to get on board and have a go at it. And then I started watching a lot of videos about it. And then one day I was just sitting there watching some whatever motorsport was on TV at the time, and I was just sitting there on the lounge, and I sent my dad a message and I went, right, I want to give this the next 12 months, this was 2018. I said, right, next year I want to give this a full crack at a full championship. Have a full proper go at full racing, because in the past I'd only do just in my own road car. The only sort of as a competitor, I'd only do maybe some hill climbs and motor cars and things like that. So I thought, right, I want to have a proper go at a full race level, competitive racing, and off we went. And I didn't really mention a lot of it to a lot of people around friends and family. Maybe a few close friends that I used that worked in the automotive industry that could sort of help me get along a bit. And only the start of 2018, I started working where I am now, in the area. And the bosses got wind of what I was doing, and they turned around and said, "Hey, look, we want to help you out a bit." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Yeah, well, it sounds great." And the way they were helping was whenever they upgraded tooling and equipment in the workshop, they would give me the older stuff that they were getting rid of, which is all still working and fine. And I just said, "Oh, well, I'm happy to, wear some signage," because we have our own signage guys here at work as well. And then one day we're out doing some testing for a product, and boss turned around and looked at me and said, "Can I do a complete vinyl wrap on your car?" And I went, "Oh, okay, righto, this is great." So, because everything I did building the car, I did it all myself. I did the whole paint and panel, mechanical. Mechanical was easy enough for me to do myself, being a mechanic. So I painted all myself. So it was a good from afar, but far from good sort of paint job. But then the boss turned around and said, "Oh, can I do a vinyl wrap on your car?" I just thought, "Oh, this is going to look great. It's going to look like the car just 10 times better." It was just exciting. And so, yeah, the car, my little Gemini, spent a weekend in the workshop and came out looking the way it is. And so, yeah, round one, I rolled out with all the car signed up, and it got a fair bit of a backing with the local track that we race at Morgan Park in Warwick. A lot of people thought that it was a full factory sort of workshop backed car just by the vinyl wrap that was on it. So that got a lot of attention. Got a lot of praise from the scrutineers for my first time out, and they knew by looking at the logbook, some of the scrutineers actually recognised the car, and they were actually really impressed with how it looked and where I got it to as a standard for a Gemini race car. And that's kind of where I'm at now. So, yeah, now that the bug's really set in, lucky enough I've got a girlfriend that's really supportive of that. Having a passion is good. So all she does is just wheel me in every now and then when if I get excited and see like another parts and any sort of race parts and bits like that come up for sale, and then she'll sort of do a bit of a reminder that, okay, this bill's coming up, we've got this happening, and how about we wait for that for this week? And so she's been very influential on making sure I'm budgeting well.
Very important.
But basically, in a nutshell, that's kind of how it all happened.
So tell us a little bit about the Gemini Cup in Queensland. So it's a state-based series. How many rounds does it have? And
it's actually a very small series now. Like last year, being my first year of racing in the series, we had a maximum. I think we had 6 Geminis, and being such a low number, we always got put on the back of the HQs or improved productions. It's just a strict category racing. So we all run the same tyres. We can all only do certain modifications to the motor. There's a weight restriction, minimum weight. It's actually, I think, believed to date, it's still the oldest form of category racing in Australia. Last year was its 40th anniversary of competing in Queensland. I'm not 100% sure if there's a lot more of it still happening around Australia.
No.
I believe we're probably the last of it. But it used to be a very big category, as popular as what your Hyundai Excel Cup racing is. So it has been a bit of a challenge trying to get these people that have these, some drivers that have old race cars still sitting in the shed, get them back out on track, because every time I even turn up to just a practice day or anything like that, everyone comes over and says g'day, because it's an old race car.
Yeah.
Like it's over 45 years old. It's 45 years old this year. Like this year alone, I actually wrote a small article about just trying to amp up the series a bit, get it going again, and just awareness. I wrote a small article and spread it out to a heap of outlets, and a bloke named Mark Watson, sorry, I can't remember who he writes for, journo. He used to do a lot of articles for Gemini Cup racing and classic racing in the past. He got on board and wrote an article about it as well, and which got a fair bit of a reaction through friends and family I know.
You'll have to send the link and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I will. I'll send it to you. It was, but yeah, look.
And is that what drew you
I reckon it's great fun.
Yeah. Is that what drew you towards the Gemini Cups, is the history of the event, as opposed to going to a series like a Hyundai XL?
I was also the fact that I love older cars. Like I've always, I don't know, they've just, to me, that little rattle, the little indiscrepancies they've got, just give it that character. I've always liked older cars. Been for drives in many of high performance cars or supercars and things like that. Yeah, they've got their buzz, but there's just something about an older car that always appeals to me. And also that I was able to pick up the car. It was already logbooked. It was had a full cage in it, all that. So it was a big step ahead cost-wise.
Yeah.
Was the other reason why I jumped in that as well. But in saying that, also, I do have a Hyundai XL as well, which is slowly evolving into a race car as well. So the fact that the Gemini is old, the guys that still race at the moment, we're very, very cautious of each other. We give each other plenty of room because we know they're an older car. They've taken a lot of a beating over the years. So everyone, and parts are getting a little bit more expensive, being classified as they are a classic now. So no one wants to wreck any cars nowadays. So it's probably more of a gentleman's cup racing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so who's in your team now? You're saying it was just your dad before, and are all your uncles that you helped out with the rally, if they've come and helped you, or is it
basically
just you and your girlfriend?
Yeah, it's basically the team. It's just myself, my dad, girlfriend, mum comes and watches every now and then. Basically, she'll just do a lot of the catering.
Yes.
Which is always important.
That's right.
But it's basically just us. And the only support I really get is from work. And their support also is, like I said earlier, with I get access to a huge workshop warehouse with a big engineering area, so I can manufacture any metal work and all that sort of stuff. And another big support is a mate of mine. He's a sales manager for a automotive additive company, a local one in North Brisbane, in Virotech, and they've been great because he has access at a very good costs for oils and obviously their own additives they make. So things like that was a huge help as well, because then I can just the basics of servicing my own vehicle, the race car, things like that, they were just a huge help as well. Like the $50-$100 of bits and pieces and consumables like that you can get given to you, is like, it all adds up, especially as a bit of a solo person that runs very solo. So that's about all of us really.
And are you still officiating now?
With the rally?
Yep.
Not as much. Well, the WRC last year was cancelled because of the bushfires. This year, who knows what's going to happen with the coronavirus. But I do a lot more. I don't really do a lot of officialing as much now because it is very, very time consuming, and I'm really enjoying my driving more. But when I'm not driving, I'll either jump in the what they usually refer to as the silly seat and the navigator seat. I've done a little bit of navigating for my uncle when he brings his race car up to Queensland, down from Central Coast, New South Wales. I was meant to be navigating this weekend for a mate of mine as well in his Hyundai. But again, cancelled because of the virus, so that didn't happen. But if I'm not doing that, generally I'm just going service for all their rally cars, because I've spent a lot of time with them. Spent a lot of time with them growing up, because the group of people that I usually go service for is all friends or the sons of previous employer when I was doing my apprenticeship. Yeah, so it's kind of like a second family.
Yeah. That's the great thing about motorsport. It is like one big happy family, isn't it?
And yeah, that's a lot of it. That can be a lot of the addiction too. Like even just at the racetrack, you can get. When my first round, I hit the ripple strip a bit hard, broke a ball joint, and a guy came across from Formula Ford, spotted that I was having a few dramas. I only brought X amount of tools with me, and he came and gave me a hand. And not that I can remember his name, but every time I see his face at the track, we always get a big wave and a hello. So, yeah, like that part of it's really a bit of an addiction as well. You know, it's like going to hang out with your mates again.
Yeah, that's right. I grew up at the track, so I second your thoughts.
Yeah.
And so, Ryan, tell us a little bit about rally racing. It's a whole new world for me. So how does it work? Like, how does the race work? And yeah, just tell us about it.
God, rally. Well, basically, it's a timed event. The difference is obviously from the circuit, you don't have people, door to door with you. So it's a point-to-point race.
Why would you want to be a navigator is my question when you've got no control?
Funny enough, like that's actually a buzz on its own.
That's my question.
Yeah. Very tricky question, actually. But like for someone, I was a bit cautious about doing it anyway, because I'm someone who I can't sit in a car and read a book. I get car sick. But Sydney, put my helmet on when you're focused, reading notes, you're obviously sitting down in the car. It's totally different. I don't get sick by doing it. So,
is that because the adrenaline has taken over instead?
Yeah, I assume so. I haven't really, I'm still fairly green, you'd say, at navigating, but again, it's another buzz that you can, another way you can get access to motorsport without spending a lot of money, really. Like probably the most expensive part of being a navigator, I'd imagine, would be buying your safety gear, buy your suit, your helmet, and a license. Because at the end of the day, if you're a good navigator, people they'll just want you to come along, and basically you just turn up, hop in the seat, the silly seat, or the office, is what some guys refer it to, because you're in there to do a job, which at the end of the day is just as important. A navigator is just as important as a driver. Because a navigator, there's you can have different types of rallies. You can have a blind rally or a notes rally. A notes rally is where you have access to the course prior to the event, so you can write your own notes to go down with your post notes. Or a blind rally is where you literally go in blind. You have to rely on the notes that you're given by the officials that they make.
That's just great.
It's good fun. And yeah, it's great. If anyone, and the other thing is too, is the majority of all rallies to spectate, it's cost nothing. They're all held in state forests. There's a lot of rallies in north of Brisbane, usually only in the vicinity of a couple of hours, up near Gympie, Kenilworth, up through that area. So it's one of those things. To keep it going, we need the spectators there to keep watching. So it's no. I'd say to anyone, if anyone's sort of half interested, just go out and have a look. Like, it's even just a nice day out to get out and out in the bush in Australia and have a look around, and then you see a fast car go past. So.
Yeah, flying towards you.
Yeah, all that. Yeah,
sounds like a great day out, right? Now, one of the really big things we want to concentrate on the Motorsport podcast is around about life outside of racing. And as you mentioned before, you're a mechanic by trade. And was that something that you did straight out of year 10, or was that something that you pursued later in life?
No, that was a lot later in life. I was always interested in cars, but I never thought about becoming a mechanic. So I've had multiple jobs before I even became a mechanic. Like, I was a lifeguard for 4 years. So, like, I've gone from either end of the Richter scale in different types of jobs and areas.
So did you choose mechanics because of your love of motorsports?
Sorry, say that again.
Did you choose to go down the way of mechanics because of your love of motorsports?
Yeah, that was a lot of it. The fact that it popped up, and again, like, the only way I got the job is back then, when you looked in the paper for things, not online. Just saw an ad in the paper and I went, I'll bring it up. And it was actually not for an apprenticeship to start with. It was actually just a traineeship. And I turned up, had an interview over the front counter with Sean's customers around me, and it was probably 10-minute talk over the counter. Got the traineeship. I was there for 12 months, did my traineeship. That was just a underbody technician. So basically, you're just a bit of a glorified, I suppose, TA to a mechanic. I finished that and then actually did my apprenticeship. So all up, I think I was there for about 6 or 7 years, working for Sean. But so he's got a lot to answer for with my addiction. So
it's fun to draw love and for your hobbies, and it's not a bad thing. And then from there, we now work as a fitter. So at Alitrax, tell us, what do they do? It looks pretty cool on the website.
It's it's really cool. Like I said, I actually came to this via we're actually an electronics company. We build, what Alitrax is itself is what we call race technology. We're a track lighting company, basically. So all your start lights, your flag marshal lighting, so things like the start lights at Bathurst and the Megaviz, they're all out. That's all of our equipment. We'd recently fitted out Winton, started last year. We've multiple tracks around the world. And so basically, as well as a fitter, I'm also the customer contracts officer. So basically, I just really, to simplify it, I just keep the communication lines open with all the tracks around the world. Delegate any service calls or anything they need whenever you have an equipment failure, or our best one that we fight with all the time is storms. So whenever there's a good lightning strike, it can always upset a lot of equipment. But that's basically it.
But more excitedly, right now in the brisk of all of CV19, what's your sister company doing? You were just mentioning.
Basically the sister company to Alitrax, since we're an electronics company, we also build state emergency vehicles, so police, ambulance, fire vehicles. So we do the full kit out from all your, basically a car turns up to us as a basic everyday road car from the dealership. From there, we'll go through our livery area, so it gets all the decals done, all your reflective tapes, all that sort of stuff, and all the lights, sirens, all your radio equipment, your AMPR, which is your number plate recognition cameras. We fit out all that. So we're obviously the sister company is an essential service at the moment with everything going on with the virus. So yeah, at the moment, I may look at a few emails and then I'll go back out on the workshop floor since I'm a mechanic by trade. I'll go back out on the floor and I'll help the guys out there finish a car and get it on the road. So it is very different working conditions now with what's going on, but it's good. It's good to know I can still come to work with a job. I'm not like not as lucky as a lot of other people at the moment.
Yeah.
So a bit blessed there. Yeah.
Yes, well, thank you for everything that you're doing there. And Ryan, what is your ultimate racing goal? Is Gemini the end for you, or are you wanting to expand? You mentioned that you do have the XL, or is it you still just want to win that ultimate club championship or national series?
Actually, funny enough, probably helped also there wasn't as many numbers. I actually came third for the championship last year, and all it was really all it came down to was consistency. Like my first round, in what they would consider a full pack of a full grid, I was way at the back. To round 3 and 4, like I was up there, getting thirds, and I was right on the tail of second place. And all it was basically, for me, it just came down to seat time and consistency. So lucky enough that out of the rest of the guys that are racing, I don't think any of them are actually mechanics. They're electricians and whatever. And the biggest help, obviously, with that would have been still having contact with my old boss, Sean, and talking to Markle on the phone, and even just the support over the phone of just, the car was doing this and this, what it, it felt like this, and you'd get feedback from them. And so all that helped in what was, even everyone else in the series last year said I progressed quite quickly. So for the last round of the year, I got third place for the round for the year. And then for work, I was in America for the PRI trade show, and I got a text message from one of the guys in the championship of a photo of a trophy. And my first reaction was, congratulations, mate, that's awesome. And I said, no, it's yours. And I nearly fell over. So just with, consistency and a car that was pretty reliable for me, it actually held up really well considering the abuse that it got. I ended up coming third place for last year for the championship, so it was pretty exciting. But overall, one thing I've said to my girlfriend, and she's supportive of because she knows the passion behind it, if at the moment the goal is I'd love to do if I ever get the opportunity to do a support race or something like that at Bathurst, that would be absolutely awesome. Mm-hmm. Driven around that track multiple times just to when it's obviously open to the public. Because growing up as a kid, we were forever in Bathurst. We got family there. So that was Dad's way of having a bit of fun. We'd go for a lap around there before we went to the cousin's place. Either, I reckon, to be able to do a full race at Bathurst in the Gemini would be fun. Don't know. I like all sorts of motorsport. If someone handed me the keys to a truck race in Winton, I'll take the keys and run, and I'll be like, go have a go.
Yeah, just want to keep on driving.
Yeah, anything with heaps of revs and a steering wheel in front of me, I'd have a go at it. So I wouldn't really say I have like a major goal of what I want to go for in motorsport, but at the end of the day, to me, if I can have a go at anything that's somewhat competitive and fast, and to me, it's all about having fun and enjoying it. So like I said, I could have fun in anything, really.
Fantastic. And so, Ryan, before we wrap up today, do you have any words of advice for upcoming motorsport competitors that are still wanting to work like in the motorsport industry about how they can get started?
Biggest thing I advise anyone, even young kids, like coming from a person that I say myself is not I wouldn't say overly experienced on a level of what other people are. So, you people like Paul Morris and all the young kids that he's sort of training and things like that, to me, they're on another level again. But for someone on a very entry level like myself, I say to anyone to get started is don't be afraid to put your hand up and ask for help. And seat time is probably the other big thing for getting into motorsport on a competitive level, is just whenever someone offers you a seat and a ride, go for it. As opposed to getting into the industry of motorsport on a professional level, it's so vast. And my approach is also the same. Just have a go. If someone offers you something and it may not be ideally what you're going for, just have a go. At the end of the day, it's about putting yourself out there, really. It's about it.
Fantastic. Now, normally I finish off, what is your favourite track? Obviously, you work with lots of tracks throughout the world, and you did mention your love for Bathurst. So excluding Bathurst, what's one of your favourite tracks and why?
Well, I've only really raced on Morgan Park on a competitive level.
Racing, it could be officiating, it could be
hard to say. Yeah, like I said, I've been to multiple tracks throughout New Zealand and a couple in America, but I probably also because I like to support local, and I really enjoy going there because it was kind of one of our, bit sentimental. It was the place we had our first one of our first dates in Warwick. I'd have to say Morgan Park in Warwick. So I'll stick to the local guys and I'll say Morgan Park.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm hoping to come there this year with TCR, but we shall see, depending on what's happening this year. But hopefully in the next 12 months, I'll make it there. It's one of the only racetracks I haven't been to. So.
Well, I'll be there for it because I'll be there for site support for the event. I'm hoping it still goes ahead because it's really lovely area. Great little country town sort of vibe. So, no, it's awesome.
Well, thank you very much for your time this morning, Ryan, and thank you for going to work for us today. We really appreciate everything that you're doing, and thank you for sharing your story with us. It's great to have different insights from different people within the industry. Obviously, racing Gemini Cup, as you said, there's only 6 drivers in Australia that does it, so there's a story to be told. Having your rally experience, officiating, which is fantastic. We always love to give back to the sport, and just your general passion for working in the industry. So thank you very much for sharing your story and your time.
Thanks for listening.
And have a great day. We'll have a coffee. If I make it to Morgan Park, I'll make sure I'll get in contact with you for that coffee.
Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ryan. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at motivatetraining.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out, and you'll go into a monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at motivatetraining.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at Motivate Until next time, take care.